This is Ruth Sukup from the Feel Better, Live Free podcast. And I decided to work with Adam because I just really appreciated his ability to look at big picture strategy and not just offer up tactics. As a strategy person, I love people who can really dig deep into the why of why you're doing something and make it work for what your objectives are. And Adam has just been awesome to work with. He's so smart. He's so good at what he does, and he's been so helpful for our business. Thanks, Adam.
Hey there, Pod Pals. Do you feel like you could use a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or with converting your podcast listeners into becoming your best clients? I want you to head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and watch the 4-minute video that talks about who I help and exactly how I can help them out. Next, I want you to click on the Discovery Call button to set up a free podcast profit potential discovery call where we can talk about working together to help you reach your podcasting and online business goals. Head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for your free podcast profit potential discovery call. What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's a show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. If you're a coach, consultant, or a service provider that's looking to learn how to leverage your show to build your online business and get more clients, you're in the right spot. And today we've got a brand new framework, the podcast monetization difficulty axis. That sounds intense. I've never used the word axis before. It makes me sound very mathematical. I like that. Before we dive into that, a couple quick notes. Next week, I'll be at PodFest down in Florida. If you guys are going, stay tuned to your email inbox. I'm going to be sending out some meetup links. I'm going to do some free meetups and some coaching on growth and monetization down there. So keep your eyes in your inbox. Speaking of your inbox, if you guys have not subscribed to my email list and you do not get my Thursday newsletter, my Podcasting Business School newsletter, what are you thinking? You are missing out. You should feel that FOMO right now. I'll pop that link in the episode notes, but I've really beefed up my Thursday newsletters. I've been sending a newsletter every single Thursday since 2018, when I only had 7 people on my email list, 5 of which were me from different email addresses. So really myself and 2 other people. But I've been sending out a weekly newsletter every single week for several years now. I really enjoy it. I've beefed it up. I've added even more value. This is not a promotional email. I rarely, if ever, sell anything from this email. It is just value, and it's stuff that you aren't getting on the show or on social media. So, yeah, that's how you get on my email list. Pop in there every Thursday. I sit down and I write a real in the moment, no AI used newsletter, and that will show up in your inbox. So check that out in the show notes. Okay. So with this podcast monetization difficulty axis, when I use the word monetization, I know I've got a lot of newer people to our platform here. When I use the word monetization, I talk about meaningful income. I'm not talking about getting 39 cents from a mushroom coffee affiliate that somebody bought. All right. So I'm talking about making pay the bills income, pay your car payment income, pay your mortgage income, replace your income and go full-time type of income, making 6 figures type of income. That's what I'm talking about when I use the word monetization. All right. Now, I've got to give credit where credit is due to 2 people. I'm in the program for Threads, the Threads app. I've hired a couple coaches there. One of them is a gentleman named Mike Romaine, and he put together a ebook called Super Threads Mastery. I highly recommend it. And in that book, he referenced a grid like this, an axis like this, created by somebody named Justin Welsh. And Justin created an axis for brand monetization. And I took that, I was inspired by that, and I adapted it to podcast monetization and applied my own knowledge and skill set to that. So when you give credit where credit is due, this is an idea that is not my original idea, but I've added my unique herbs and spices and adapted it to be specific to podcasters. So I want to just put that out there. So we've got an x-axis and a y-axis, like a graph. All right. The vertical axis, the x-axis is your niche. Is your niche broad or is it narrow? We're going to be discussing that. The y-axis is your audience size. Do you have a small or large audience size? And this is where I add in my own little herbs and spices. I give you specific numbers on what qualifies as small versus large. So I knew that you guys would ask that. So I'm going to deliver on that. This is going to be a really good episode. So let's dig on in here. So we've got 4 quadrants. We've got small audience, broad niche. We've got large audience, broad niche. We've got small audience, narrow niche, and we've got large audience, narrow niche. Those are the 4 options on the axis. Those are the 4 quadrants. I feel so mathematical and scientific as I say things like axis and quadrants here. It's making me feel way smarter than I actually am. All right, so we're going to go through each of the 4 quadrants, and I'm going to list them in order of hardest to earn meaningful income to easiest to earn meaningful income as a podcaster. All right. And yeah, so let's dig on in. So I feel like the absolute hardest quadrant to earn meaningful income in is the small audience, broad niche. All right, we're just getting started. We've got a small audience, but we're also really broad with our topic. All right, these are the podcasts where it's like friends together chatting about anything, the show about everything. We can talk about anything. And honestly, it could be something like business, health. We're just chatting about health. We're chatting about business. We're chatting about personal growth. Those are still really broad. All right. It's probably a little bit down on the scale compared to the podcast about talk about anything, no specific topic, but it's not much better. All right. So first things first, it's going to be really, really difficult if you're a service provider to sell any programs, products, and services because you have a small audience and you've got a broad niche. What are you going to sell? All right. Second thing, it's going to be almost impossible, at a minimum, very difficult to get sponsors and brand partners because you don't have the numbers for it. Sponsors and brand partners need to see numbers. And if you don't have a specific niche, then there's no reason for them to give you money. Now, if you had a really specific niche and they were like, oh, we want to talk to that specific audience, we don't care that you only have 42 listeners, then that's a different story. All right. So really the alarm bell that should be going off for people like, uh-oh, I'm in this quadrant. The alarm bell and the focus points are growth and niching down. You either have to get over into the large audience zone, which I'm about to describe and give you specific numbers, or you got to niche down, or both. All right. So like you do not want to be in small audience, broad niche. You don't want to be here. And if you are sitting there, here's the thing. I know people are going to say, but there are all these people that are in this broad niche category of these comedians and these talk show typey people. Yeah, but they are bringing a giant audience with them. That's the difference. This is a huge problem in podcasting where people are following the footsteps of people that are wearing completely different size shoes. I just came up with that analogy. I'm really proud of that. You are following in the footsteps of people that have completely different sized shoes. Joe Rogan walks in. Joe Rogan started a podcast, but he had been on TV for years. He was on Fear Factor, UFC, syndicated television shows, comedy. Like he has an email list. He has a social media following. You can't follow in that type of a footstep if you're starting with 0 email list, 0 social media following. No one knows who the hell you are or why they would ever want to listen to you on your show. All right. So we can't go, oh, That's the example. Even like somebody like Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss, when he launched his show, you know, he, he had an email list. He had a best-selling book. He had a social media following. All right. So we can't follow in the footsteps of people with way different size shoes. Not even the same type of shoe. Not even going the same direction. All right. So that is the first quadrant. Small audience, broad niche. We've got to get out of there as soon as possible. And honestly, this whole axis topic, it's been exploding my mind region. I've been waking up at like 3 a.m. thinking about this and preparing for this episode. I've got a ton of notes on this, way more notes than I usually have. But this unlocked something in my brain because I was like, I've got a very specific system of converting listeners into clients and teaching other people how to do that. But sometimes they do all of that and it's still difficult. Why is that? I think this goes at the top of the pipeline. None of my stuff works if you are in small audience, broad niche. So all these 545 episodes of my show, all the tips, all the advice, none of it will work if you are stuck in this first quadrant. You've got to get out of this first quadrant with growth or niching down or both. Period. Hopefully that hit you between the eyes like a 2x4, some of you. All right. So let's move to this next quadrant. Let's move over to the right side of the axis. All right. We're going to go large audience, broad niche. So you still have a broad niche. These are the comedians. These are the actors. These are the people that have a best-selling book and they have a large audience and they can have a broad niche. I still feel like there's money being left on the table for these people. Let's talk about qualifications for what is large. And again, like these are just numbers that I put out there because I knew that you would want something to shoot for. This isn't like Loctite, like you hit these numbers and it's guaranteed. But I have hit numbers like this with a larger audience and a broader niche with my health show. I had a health show, I had a weight loss show. It wasn't super specific. I ended up niching down into the low carb space. So I've kind of traveled through these different quadrants. But here are the numbers for downloads, email lists, and social media. So if you're going to go large audience, broad niche, you need to be shooting for 20,000 plus downloads per month, 20,000 plus downloads of your podcast per month. You need your email list over 10,000. You need one single social media platform over 10,000. Not all of them combined. That's BS. People, I have 1 million, blow up. I don't care. Sponsors and brand partners don't want everything all spread out. They're gonna be like, what's your LinkedIn profile? Okay, it's 12K. Let's do business. All right. You need to be able to check all 3 of these boxes, or at least 2 of the 3, to qualify for that large audience, broad niche, and be able to monetize in the ways that I'm about ready to tell you. All right. So there are 3 monetization strategies that I have personally used, or I've personally seen, or I've personally consulted on, and they worked in this quadrant: large audience, broad niche. All right. So again, this could be the talk about anything show. This could be the high level entrepreneurship or business or health, like big topic, not really specific type of a show. So sponsors, brand partners, and affiliate programs are going to work if you're doing that type of volume with your show and you have an email list and a social following over 10,000. It's going to work a lot better and you're going to be able to make meaningful income. All right. Also, some sort of a community offer will work pretty well. Maybe it's, we get together once a month and I pull people in. Let's say you've got kind of a high level entrepreneurship show. Broad, you got an audience built up. You've spent a lot of money on ads, or you've got a great guesting strategy and you've blown it up over 20,000 downloads a month. That's kind of what happened with me with my health show. All right. And you could have a community offer where once per month you have some of your guests come in and you do kind of a community chat, a community Q&A. People pay you $97 a month and they show up for the Q&A. That type of an offer I've personally used and I've personally seen work. The other one that is kind of hit and miss, but paid challenges, depending on the category that you're in. If you're in the high level entrepreneurship, high level health, I had kind of a higher level health show that was doing between 20 and 30,000 downloads a month. One of the first ways I started making meaningful income, I did paid challenges in the $37 to $97 range. and I would have 100 or more people sign up, and I would make 10 grand or so and meaningful income. That's pay your bills income for sure. So paid challenges. So in my health space, I would do like an intermittent fasting challenge, or I would do a core workout challenge, or even like a mobility flexibility challenge. So different content pillars within your broader niche, you can do a paid challenge for. And those I've seen work with large audience, broad niche. I still think there's money being left on the table by being north of the niche line. So the broad. So we have small audience, broad niche, large audience, broad niche. We are on the top of that axis. I think the real money, the real meaningful income lies below that niche line. All right. And getting down there and going to the south side of the axis. All right. So let's go into small audience, narrow niche. So now we've crossed to the bottom of the axis. I think there is a lot. In fact, some people are like, oh, small audience, it's really hard to monetize. I still put myself in this category. All right. I still put myself in this category. I'm advancing to large audience. I believe I'll hit my own qualifications this year. But with this brand podcasting business school, and by the way, I have different qualification numbers. All right. So stay tuned. Those are coming here in 60 seconds or so. Different than, once you cross down to the south side of that XY axis, getting down into that lower quadrant there, you're more niche down. It doesn't take as many followers. It doesn't take as large of an audience to make meaningful income. That's the nice thing. So small audience, narrow niche. I've been in this category with podcasting business school since I launched it. Like I launched this brand in 2018. I had, again, 20 to 30,000 downloads per month with my health show. I had 12,000 people on Instagram. I had 10,000 plus on my email list, but none of that meant jack shit because I switched to business and entrepreneurship. Now, a sliver of that followed me over, but for all meaningful purposes here, I started with zeros across the board: 0 subscribers, 0 followers, 0 email list. So I started small and narrow. All right, and into the business and online coaching for podcasters. All right, so you can earn 6 figures in this quadrant. I've paid myself, not just earned. Like there's business revenue and there's paycheck for me. I've been able to pay myself with my business revenue, but paying myself a 6-figure salary for the last 4 years in a row in the small audience, narrow niche. All right. So keep that in mind. This is where my show currently sits. This is where my brand currently sits. Some monetization strategies that work. These are going to be familiar. One-to-one coaching consulting. This is a home run. All right. Having that 14-day, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day consulting program, they work extremely well and you can make meaningful income. All right. As long as you don't underprice yourself. Very important. Small group coaching. Even if it's done like in a challenge, like a 60-day challenge, but having a cohort of 5 to 10, maybe 12 people, and you small group coach them for 8 weeks, 12 weeks continuously, those programs work in the small audience, narrow niche quadrant. I've made a ton of money with hybrid course plus coaching signature offers. You look at the pain point that your narrow niche has, you've niched down and you know those pain points. Like with you all, I know you struggle at launch. I've got a hybrid course plus coaching signature offer on that. I know you struggle with growth. We've got signature offers around that. And I know you struggle with converting listeners into clients. I've got a signature offer around that. All right. So understand the pain points of your niche. Create these. I like a hybrid course plus coaching. So I have coaching, whether it's individual or group, plus I have a course component that goes with that. So you get both, which allows me to charge more because there's a higher value and faster results. All right. So those work really well in the small audience, narrow niche. And then paid small group challenges. All right. So same thing as I was talking about in the previous quadrant, you can do in this as well. So let's say you've got a health show, but you're really, really focused on intermittent fasting. You're going to have a much higher response for your 14-day intermittent fasting challenge. All right. You can charge more. once you niche down, you can charge more. So if you were broad niche and trying to do a paid group challenge, maybe you're charging $20 or $30, where now you're in a more narrow niche, you're probably charging closer to $100 or $150 or $200 for this challenge, depending on what's involved, what you're teaching, and how long it is. But you can charge more. All right. So small audience, narrow niche. We've got to gravitate down into that quadrant. Now let's talk about large audience, narrow niche. So we have our niche, we've got that dialed in with our show, with our brand, with our offers, and we grow our audience. This is the final destination. This is where we want to be. And the qualifications I've got on this, like I said, these are lower than the broad niche quadrants. All right. So the qualifications to go from narrow to large audience when we are in a narrow niche is 10,000 downloads per month podcast, 5,000 plus on your email list, 5,000 plus on your social following on one single platform. See, these are half. Because I see so many people making significant money, myself included, with the small audience narrow niche. And then it's already happening. So I think you need to be able to check 2 of the 3 off to be able to monetize with this, the offers I'm getting ready to kind of unpack here. I'm already over the download mark. We're getting close on the email list. We're blasting away on the social media following. Those are my goals. 5K on my email list this year in 2025, 5K on threads on that single social media following platform in 2025. And the closer I get, larger the audience. I'm tight in my niche with online business coaching for podcasters, and the higher prices await. So when we look at offers that work with a large audience, narrow niche, and even though I haven't been there myself with my brand podcasting business school, I'm getting there. I'm testing some of these offers for sure, dipping my toes in the waters. I've consulted with brands that have a much larger audience than me, and they're still dialed in with their niche. So offers that work. When we look at the previous quadrant, all the small audience offers, those all work, but now we can charge more because there's more demand. More people, more demand, easier to fill. One-to-one coaching, consulting, small group coaching, hybrid course plus coaching, signature offers, paid small group challenges. We just raise the prices. All right. So the monetization is much easier. Also, we got to look at masterminds, mid to high ticket memberships. And then you can still look at sponsors, brand partners, and affiliates at this point. Because before I was like, somebody looking to sponsor a podcast normally wants to see 20,000 downloads a month. But if you're dialed in on your niche and you're still doing 10K and you got 5 on your email list and 5K on a social media platform, they're going to talk to you. All right. I get hit by sponsors all the freaking time. I turn them down because I personally feel like I can make more money and spend my, if I'm going to use some airtime on one of these episodes, I'm going to promote my own stuff, not someone else's. That's my personal philosophy. There's more money in that for me than, pimping out some mushroom coffee or an affiliate link on something else. All right. So, but that's still there. For those of you that want to incorporate that is there in the large audience, narrow niche. 10,000 plus downloads a month, 5,000 plus on your email list, 5,000 plus on one single social media platform. And I know some of you, let's be real. I know a lot of you way off on all 3. Way off, like less than 100 on all 3. I know that exists, but here's the thing. You're me in 2018. All right. Here's the other thing. I've been on the journey that you're about ready to go on. I'm in the spot that you want to get to. And I've got 545 episodes where I've documented the whole damn process. So you got to stay plugged in. I'm dragging people through this process. I'm going to get you there quicker than what it took me. That's my promise to you as a pod pal, as a podcasting business school listener. All right. That's the goal of this show. Getting you to those numbers. All right. Positioning you correctly, helping you narrow down your niche and then grow. So the monetization is way less difficult. All right. You can make meaningful income. Now, here's the most important strategic takeaway that you should have. I know you guys are very intelligent listeners and you probably have already thought this, but I'm going to say it anyway. How do I get down into the small audience, narrow niche quadrant? So I know a lot of you are in the small audience, broad-ish niche. And some of you are lying to yourself because you're, oh yeah, I'm niche down. I have a business show. Not niche enough. It's not narrow enough. All right. And some of y'all have that show that's like the Everything About Everything show. It's for thinkers, thought leaders, and thinkers who thought they were leaders. Who cares? That's too broad. All right. That's my favorite joke to tell at podcast conferences on stage. I'm going to use it at PodFest. So you can't be that show. And, if you're like, well, is my show niche enough? Let's go through an example. All right. So let's say right now you've got a show that's like an entrepreneurship style chat show. Like you have people on, maybe you got a co-host, you talk entrepreneurship. To me, that is still broad niche. That's broad. That's in the broad category. All right. So how do we get down? How do we figure out how to get down into that narrow niche? Because that's where we start making meaningful income. The riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches, depending on how you pronounce the word. I say niche. I put up a poll on Threads, and I asked people, how do you pronounce this word? And it was like 98% niche. So I'm like, that messes up the rhyme. The riches are in the niches. That's true, but it doesn't rhyme. So I say the riches are in the niches. All right. So how do we get entrepreneurship chat show niche down? First thing, I'm going to ask you, what do you sell? And you sell social media marketing services. All right. As a service provider, that's your goal, to sell your social media marketing services. Next, I'm going to ask, who is your ideal client? Like the easiest person that you love working with. When they sign up, you're like, oh, this is a home run. We're going to help them so much. They pay well. They have the funds. It's not an issue. And we get great results 100% of the time. Who is that person? So in this example, let's say that your ideal client that fits all that description is a female real estate agent. All right. So what we're going to do fearlessly is niche down into social media consulting for female real estate agents. That is niche down. That's how we cross to the south side of the axis. That's how we niche down and get into that money zone. You're leaving money on the table by being the entrepreneurship chat show, or the personal growth show, or the people on a journey show, or the love, light, and living show, and like all these general broad shows. If you aren't famous, if you aren't packing heat with a social media profile or an email list from a best-selling book, or you've never been on TV or whatever, you are going to struggle to monetize. You'll be driving the monetization struggle bus, whether you want sponsors or whether you want to sell products, or both. So listen to me. All right. We're going to niche down and go from that entrepreneurship chat show. And really, I know a lot of this is scary for many of you. So you think like, oh, but then if I niche down to females, then some of my clients are males. Don't worry about it. Here's a little inside baseball tip from Adam. Let's see here. All of the coaches that I hired in 2024 were female coaches. These are people that I paid for coaching, that I paid them to coach me. All of them are female, and all of them, their brand is for females. Their shows specifically like blah, blah, blah for women, for females, whatever. And I email all of them. I'm like, hey, spoiler alert, I'm a dude. I'd still like to hire you. And they said yes. Okay. So if you do serve men as well, don't worry about it. The ones that really want to work with you will step up and ask, just like I did. I paid tens of thousands of dollars to female entrepreneurs to coach me this year we only work with women, or we focus on helping women brands, and they still let me pay them money. And I come into the community and I add value and do what I do. All right. So don't let that stress you out. You have to look at your current situation and go, is this actually working? Am I making the money that I need to make? Am I passionate about this? Am I burning out? And then go like, what if I were to niche down even with a smaller audience, doing 50 downloads an episode, and really go, okay, here's what I'm really focusing on. And maybe your downloads that next month go from 50 to 40. Freak out. Sit tight. Because now when the right people find you, and now we understand who we're marketing to, and we can adjust our marketing on social. We can adjust our keywords and our hashtags. We can adjust the types of shows that we are guesting on. We adjust the content of our show, maybe the name of your show, hopefully the name of your show, to leverage organic discoverability. And the right people are going to start finding you. And now instead of just having 50 people that are in this general broad topic, you go down to 40, but then the next month you're up at 67. And all of a sudden you're at 100. All of a sudden you're at 400. All of a sudden you're at 500. All of a sudden you're at 1,000. Like that's the type of jump that you want to see, because every single one of those listeners counts. Every single one of those email opt-ins counts. Every single one of those social media followers counts. They're the right people. They're the ideal people. They're better than the right people. They're the ideal fit listener, audience member, and client. All right. So think about that. All right. Last thing. When you niche down, this is the last pro tip. And this is really important. Make sure you niche down into an area where you have proven expertise. Really important. So let's say you're just getting started as a digital marketer. Your first offer should not be how to make money as a digital marketer, because you haven't made money as a digital marketer yet. If you just launched a podcast, your first offer and your niche shouldn't be how to launch a podcast. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people like that in the podcasting space. I see it. All right. But again, so back to our experience, our example, I should say, the Entrepreneurship Chat Show, you're already selling social media marketing services, and you've already worked with several female real estate agents, gotten great results. That's what we're talking about. Where do you have experience? It's not where do you want to get to. You have to start where you have experience and niche down into that first, and then you can grow from there and expand. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's just kind of a word of caution, because it won't work. None of this will work if you don't have proven expertise. So this is important. All right. I can't just start a show about, real estate investing if I'm not real estate investing. I can't sell an offer and be like, oh, this is my niche. I can start a show and start a brand about real estate investing, but then I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of going on the journey. And honestly, that's kind of what I did with Podcasting Business School. I didn't sell anything for the first 100-ish episodes. I tried some stuff and it didn't work, and I kind of pulled back. Probably made this very mistake I'm trying to help you avoid, like always. And I was like, okay, I got to sit back and I got to help. And I first started out this is gonna be hilarious. I was consulting on people's Instagram as podcasters. I had a few things. I had grown a little bit, and I was like, all right, this is when I had my health brand, and I was helping some podcasters launch like coaching offers and things like that. So I had sold those already, and I started talking about those, and then I started teaching other people how to do that because I had experience and expertise with those offers. And then I started consulting on some launching. So I added that. I'm like, okay, now I've done that. I've had success with it. I can teach that. I can sell that. So that's what I'm talking about. We got to kind of go through the reps, make sure that you have proven expertise. You got some testimonials, and if people are going to pay me money, I got to make sure that I've got personal experience and expertise, and I've been out there helping people doing that. So keep that in mind. All right, Pod Pals, 33 minutes. My solo episodes are getting pretty damn long, but I got a lot to say. I hope that you are all feeling the momentum of the new year. I'm very excited about PodFest next week. Again, make sure you're on my email list. If you're not, hit the link in the show notes. It's just podcastingbusiness.school/news to hop on my Thursday newsletter. You will not regret it. I write that like a love letter from me to you, write it in real time. And I don't use AI. It's just me and you. So the only AI I use is Atom Intelligence. That's what I always say. So yeah, hop on that list and you'll get something in your inbox from me every single Thursday, written in real time from me to you. All right, Pod Pals, I appreciate you. I'm going to send you out into the world, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. If you're going to Podfest next week, I'll see you there. If you need a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or monetization strategy, head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for a free podcast profit potential discovery call. During this free 20-minute discovery call session, I'm going to analyze your podcasting brand and tell you where I think you're missing on an opportunity for profits. Next, I'm going to tell you exactly what I suggest that you do as your next step. If I've got an offer that would help you accelerate the process, we can discuss working together as well. So head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and click on the Discovery Call button to schedule your free Podcast Profit Potential Discovery Call.